You're now listening to the show about the shit in life that's just a bit too much, from the perspective of stand-up comics, with our hosts, Carmelo Bongiovi and Ken Krantz. This week's topic is Mischief Night, with our guest, Chris Covert. This is a bit too much.
I compliment this dude all the time.
Not to me.
Yes, to you.
No, you don't.
This dude's super talented. It's annoying. He's so good at the piano, which is, if I could play one instrument, that's what I would choose to play. And you're also super funny. And the only person in comedy, and I've told him this, that I hate following. Like, I will not,
Yeah.
I'm low maintenance on a show. I don't care where you put me. I don't care who I follow.
Right.
And that's not because I'm so confident in what I do. It's just that's
Sounds
how
pretty
little I
cocky.
care. No,
No, I know that. I know that about you. You're just kind of like a go with the flow.
yeah, like
kind of
stick me wherever. I don't care who I follow.
Right,
You know,
right.
if I don't do great, I'm okay with that too. But I fucking hate following.
That's
If
sweet.
we're on a show,
Thank you.
I'm always like, you close. I'm not.
Well, Chris, you also work music into right. There's music in your act often, right?
Yep.
And so that is. I also feel like on an energy level too. That's such a mood booster to hear music, right?
Nobody likes to follow music. Nobody. Doesn't
Well,
matter who.
well, it's comedy too.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like it's just like following a band, but at the same time, I feel like that is energy level wise. And then if you are like, high,
Yeah.
it's right. It's like when you follow a good, very physical comedy.
Yeah.
It's hard to like follow that because I'm a just stand there and talk guy too. Like I barely move,
And
even when
he's
I have
got
to.
them-
I'd barely move if there's a fire in the building. Like I'm not.
He's got the whole crowd singing
Right.
along, and he's
Right.
got like musical, and you go, and you know,
They're having a great time.
And then I come up with that fresh, like just smoked a joint in the green room energy.
Yeah. Well, hold on. It's not an energy if that's what you're doing. It's a literal just smoked a joint in the green room.
I come up and people are like, did he just wander on stage?
Does he
Is
know
even
he's
supposed to be
performing
here?
right now? Yeah. Maybe that's on us, is that we don't bring a good time to the party.
No, there's definitely an energy to the lack of energy. It's just a different.
Yes, that
feel.
is true.
Yeah.
That is true. Well, but I guess my point is in the way of following, like when the energy level gets brought up
Yeah.
and then
Yeah,
comes
yeah.
back down,
Yeah, peaks and
that could be
valleys.
hard to follow sometimes.
Yeah,
you
if
know what I mean?
everyone's
Like,
up here.
Yeah, if everyone's up there, if you've got a bunch of guys sort of here energy level wise, in terms of how good, funny they are, sometimes it doesn't even matter because everyone's just like, there's just music just, puts people in a different state of mind.
Yeah.
Whether it's comedy or just,
It's
standard
almost
song.
cheating. It's not fair.
It is.
Well, you still have to be
fair.
funny. Like in music, it puts people in a good mood, but
Did
for
you
you
say I
to
was
be
funny too?
He's
He did
funny.
say you were
yeah,
funny.
It's
I heard him. I just wanted to hear
Can you say it again?
it's frustrating because I don't want to like his act. If I'm being honest, like you see a guy bring a guitar up on stage and you're just rolling
Yeah.
your eyes like this motherfucker.
There was a period of time, I want to say like early and mid 2000s, there were a lot of music acts. And I don't think many of them have stuck around.
Yeah, there was.
I mean, John Valby's still chugging along.
Yeah,
are you
sure,
just
sure.
waiting for him to die at this point?
Then I'm
like,
grabbing his crown, dude. That's it. I'm gonna need your Rolodex.
We had a bunch of dudes, man, and like Stephen Lynch was a guy, right?
Lynch is still active.
He
believe.
does he tour still and stuff?
I think so.
Yeah, but he was a bigger act. But like there's a bunch of like like guys that just brought their guitar on, and I still know a few that do it. But
Buddy
it was
Flip. He's out in Pittsburgh. He's still going.
Mm-hmm.
Who else?
so. Your point is you normally don't like that.
I normally,
but you're annoyed because he's good
yes,
at it.
I'm annoyed. Yes, it frustrates me that it makes me laugh so hard.
Yeah,
Wow, buddy.
There you go. Now you
I
got it
feel
all.
like-
You got it all on tape.
Thanks, this, man.
So next time you're crying that I never compliment you, just go back
Maybe
and play
you know what?
shit.
I'm so used to tuning you out. Maybe
Maybe
You know what?
start listening.
You know something I'm learning about you though, Ken, is because I recently met some people that have known you a lot longer.
Yeah.
And everyone is like saying this is like a different Ken. I only know this version. I only met Ken a few months ago.
Oh, new married Ken?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I met
definitely
Ken a
happier.
few days before he got remarried.
Yeah.
And so very optimistic, you know,
Yeah.
all good,
Yeah,
good. It's like the future, everything's good ahead. And
I'd say-
and everyone I meet is like, no, that's not who he really is.
You definitely smile more.
That's what I keep on hearing is like, yeah, no, he's a prick. But I'm like, I don't get that. I've only seen this side. Look, he's complimenting you.
Yeah, you're a good
And it sounds like it's the first time he's ever complimented you.
I like to think that it is the first time.
Well,
But I guess you've complimented me in the past. Sorry.
it's probably going to be the last one.
I know. I totally ruined it. Damn.
So I wanted to talk about how this is I think this is airing the day before Halloween.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I find Halloween to be like a very fascinating holiday in what it is in your life, right? Like it starts off so innocent, right? Halloween is like, there's very few holidays that are, most of them stay what they are your whole life. Like they are, you grow up and maybe you drink more during the holiday, but they don't completely fluctuate like that. When you're like because I have a 3-year-old, right? So like Halloween is her favorite thing because she likes to dress up.
Yeah.
It's like costumes. And I remember like being a kid and wearing like a Batman costume, or being a kid. I have a Italian immigrant mother who like dressed me in like full vampire makeup with like fake blood, and I horrified myself. Like, she put me in front of a mirror and I started crying. She powdered my face and gave me the widow's peak, like the whole thing. She went fucking nuts, and I was horrified. But that's also like a generation of like, it doesn't matter. We want you to look like this. I don't care what you. There was no like, what do you want to be for Halloween this year, honey?
Yeah.
And then as you get older, it just gets complete. It's one of those holidays. I don't know. It's like St. Patrick's Day. As you get older, right? Like Halloween is one of those drinking holidays when you get into your teens and 20s. Like, and I don't know what it is. I don't know why Halloween has become like one of the ultimate drinking days for people, right? It's like become like such a party day for people.
There was this neighborhood when my son's going to be 21 in 4 months. But when he was younger, there was a neighborhood not far from us where I had some friends in. Everybody had a porch. Everybody had a cooler for beers, and you just walked around, had a beer on this while you're walking your kid.
Yeah.
And they go a couple of houses up. You have a beer. You catch up to them. Have a beer at the next house.
Some adult trick or treating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
That's
great.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. Most people had like brought their fire pit out into their driveway. So you'd hang out with the dads, and a lot of the kids went to school together, so it wasn't like creepy or anything.
Yeah,
But
that's maybe the complete opposite of what I grew up in a time. I grew up in Queens, and everything was like, that was the time when I was like, there's razor blades in the candy.
yeah.
Remember when everyone was saying that? Everyone was like, don't eat. If anything's
There was
open,
a point
it's
where they
poison.
were
It's
taking
just-
candy to the hospital and getting an X-rayed for like needles and stuff. I'm like,
But
what
did
the-
that ever happen? I feel like that shit, maybe it happened once.
I feel like
And I
my
guess
mother
once
just
is
wanted
enough.
to sample all the candy. My
Right.
mom loved that. I'm like, well, there's no
If you-
Snickers.
if
Yeah,
you-
they were.
There's razor blades.
If you ate an apple that someone gave you on Halloween, you deserve whatever
1,000,000%.
is in
Hey, you
it.
fucking weird kid.
Like, why would you even bring that apple home? Why wouldn't you immediately throw it back at the house?
Yeah. And also, as the homeowner, like the adults, why would you give a fucking apple?
Yeah. Did you
What-
ever get an apple? Did anyone ever get an apple?
No, but that was the rumor when we were kids. Oh, they're putting razors in apple. They're putting razors in apples.
Yeah.
That's why there were 0 deaths, because all the kids were like, fuck this stupid fucking apple. It was one of those. It was like when you're younger, before you start drinking and stuff. We would. It was very quickly. I want to say from like up until like 12, it was just like get all the candy you can get, and then after that, it just became. We were such dirtbags. Like Mischief night, like the night before. We would just go and load up, and I feel like stores will actually stop you now if they see you doing that. Like if they see you loading up on like shaving cream and eggs, like they won't sell. I remember for a while they weren't selling eggs to like kids on Halloween or the day before.
Yeah.
Because they knew what they were doing with them. But we would just fucking load up. We'd get like a cart and we would go down the block and we would just ruin people's lives. Like, I mean, we ruined their property. I remember throwing an egg at a moving car and it hit the windshield and the guy was going to kill me. Like he chased me for blocks. He would have luckily he was like what I look like now and he couldn't catch up to me. and I was not what I look like now. But this guy would have fucking murdered me. My brother got brought into a precinct once and like my dad had to go get him and then beat the shit out of him after because it was like put shaving cream everywhere. You know, and you think like we used to just the neighborhood would be unrecognizable. My neighborhood in Queens, like that day, and then I mean, every house.
Yeah.
Someone drew a dick on our scarecrow once. We had a scarecrow in front of the house, and they like shaving creamed, and I think they were trying to do like cum. I think that's what they were going for because it was like blotches of shaving cream, and then there was like a dick that like was drawn like upward on the scarecrow. Wow. I mean, one piece of shit, right?
That's great.
Halloween it's a super fluid holiday. Like you were just saying, like for me, it's come full circle. So like when you're a kid, you're just so excited about the candy.
Right.
And then as I got older, it became not so much like a drink. I mean, it was a big drinking holiday, but for me and my friends, it became like a big time drug holiday, you know, you take mushrooms, you take ecstasy. We used to have
would freak you the fuck out when your friends dressed like Freddy Krueger, you know?
My dad used to have a house in the Poconos when he was alive, and we would throw a Halloween party there every year, and these parties became legendary. We would get 100 people crammed into this house.
Fucking dope.
People sleeping in the closets, people sleeping in the canoe in the basement on the concrete floor. And it became all about your costume and all the drugs.
Yeah.
And then, so it was still...
Also, what a cool fucking setting, because Poconos feels like Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Sure.
It feels like that.
Woods.
I mean, growing up in Queens, like now I live in Westchester, and I'm so spooked out by like just nature. It's like I could walk through Jamaica, Queens at midnight and feel safer, which is absurd. Then I don't throw out my goddamn garbage after a certain time because there's raccoons all over the dumpster.
It's like my cousin Vinny when he's staying in the cabin.
It's exactly that.
And he hears the owl just start shooting out.
Well, like I hear, so the Poconos is like that too, especially if you're not.
Yeah.
Like if you don't live like out in the woods.
And we would empty all the furniture and we would decorate it for Halloween. We would turn it in, and every year was like a different theme. I remember one year we did like Mount Scary Lodge, and we turned it into like a haunted resort. And so for years, so it was still my favorite holiday, but because of all the drugs and partying. And then, you know, as you get older and stop doing that, and everyone started getting married and having kids, like now I have a kid and I'm seeing it through her eyes, and I'm like, I'm still just a fat fuck. So now I'm all excited about the candy again. Yeah, so it's like it's like Hakuna Matata. Like that's full circle.
Right. Yeah, I remember there was a period of time where me and my friends, like late teens, you know, with our fake IDs and stuff, we would go out to parties and stuff, and we would all, it was just like, it became like, there was a period of time where it was like, who has the most offensive or wild costume?
Yeah.
I don't know. I was a teenager during the Michael Jackson trial.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going as Michael Jackson with like a Cabbage Patch doll. Like I think what I did was I safety pinned the wrists of it to like, so it looked like the doll was blowing me. And like, it was just like, what a fucking vile thing to do. Right. And it's like, yeah, it does come full circle. I was Olaf from Frozen last year. You know, like my daughter was Elsa, my wife was Anna, and I wore one of those giant inflatable ones that have the fans running to blow it up, like those big dinosaur ones. I had a fucking Olaf one in my very hilly neighborhood, and I'm fucking wobbling along like just the dumbest fucking moron, holding a little basket, you know, and I'm like walking uphill, I'm sweating in there. Like the fans were cooling me down instead of just keeping it inflated. But I was, you know, I was a disgusting kid.
I forgot when I was telling you about, we'd go and drink in everybody's driveway. We played a game where I think it was Elsa was the popular one that year. Every time we saw an Elsa, we all drank. So we made it a big, giant drinking game.
Right. Yeah, and then you know, and I think, and I want to say, like, when we were in our like early 20, like once we actually were, maybe it was like 2021. Then it became like, it was like the slutty era. Like it was like all the slutty nurses, slutty cops, and maybe that's why it became such a drinking holiday for people. Because I think what era is that? When that wasn't always the case.
No, it went from like
70s and 80s. It wasn't
crappy costumes. Once the spirits started showing up everywhere, and
like the party cities and the spirit holidays. Those like
I think that's when it got slutty.
Right, when it was accessible. This is a time before Amazon and delivery services of stuff. So you went in and you looked around. And I remember it was like, I remember making that turn, like as a teenage kid being like, oh, I want to get like a werewolf mask or some shit. Like I still thought that was like fun to do. Yeah. And then going like, oh no, wait, I'm not going to get laid wearing a werewolf mask. Like then it became the I remember having that moment in like one of those spirit Halloween type places. Yeah. And
because now it's accessible. It's not like Walgreens.
It's kind of like when you're when you're a kid going into like high school and you still like want to play with your video games and your toys or some shit or your comic books. Yeah. But then you're like, oh, I got to grow up a little bit. I had that moment again for Halloween. It was like, wait, I got to present myself in a way that's either funny or like cool. Yeah. Because I can't wear this. I remember one year I fucking glued hair all over when I was younger, like to be a werewolf. Like I can't do that now. I can't do that now when I'm at a bar trying to talk to a fucking slutty nurse. Yeah. All covered in hair. Which is always funny because it's like one of those, it's kind of like the SantaCon, if you've ever seen like SantaCon in New York City. Mm-hmm. Yeah. When they like, the aftermath of it, when everyone's like, you just got like fucking drunk throwing up Santas
everywhere.
Isn't it kind of like Halloween partying is like, there's just like, somebody was the Joker and it's like running makeup and just vomit all over. It devolves into such a gross thing. My daughter, it's like her favorite thing. Like Halloween is, that's like a kid's like dream. Yeah. And now all I think is like, because I do this with everything. I apply the like my trajectory and like the roller coaster of that, like the full circle part of it. I always apply that. I try to be very aware of that with my daughter. I'm like, there's only a number of years where this is going to be cute. Yeah. And then I'm going to be worried. Right? Like I do that with everything 100%. With my daughter.
Sure.
I take her to like farms and like she's going to not want to do this with me one day. Yeah. And I'm already, which is maybe too early to start doing this. I got to enjoy the moment a little bit more.
Yeah, isn't she like 4?
She's 3.
Yeah. You got some time to
enjoy
shit.
But it goes fast. It goes fast.
I know. Well, one, I have anxiety. So that everything perpetuates in my head. I'm like, well, when's this going to go bad? Yeah. That's just how I look at life. Like, when is this going to turn off? Everything that's going good, I'm like, when's it going to go bad? But then, the other part of it is like, I have a girl. You do too, right? And like, I don't know. My mind is always, you're just more laid back than I am too. You're probably a little more in the moment than I am.
Yeah. I don't project very far out. I'm always like, anything past 6 weeks feels like it's never going to get here.
And for you, when those 6 weeks come, you forgot the last.
That's why I said, like,
doesn't even matter.
If you want to book me on a shitty show, just ask me more than 6 weeks out, because I'll always say yes, because I'll be like, October's never gonna get here.
Yeah.
And then a month later it's October, and I'm like, that's fuck, why did I agree to this?
Yeah.
My son he never wanted to be anything scary. He was always had to be either funny or something with Minecraft. But one year he had me.
You have just the one kid?
Yeah. Yeah. I shaved his head for Dr. Phil, like with a actual razor. So he had no hair here.
So he could be Dr. Phil?
And his mom was on board with it. Yeah, he wanted to be Dr.
Why did he want to be Dr. Phil?
I have no idea. He was like in 6th grade.
That is such commitment to...
Yeah. And then I'm like, all right, so after Halloween, we'll shave the whole thing. So after Halloween, he's like, no, I kind of like it. So he just like let it grow in.
How old?
Slowly.
He was in 6th, so he's like 13.
Yeah.
With a...
He's a goofball. You met him. He's a nut.
I think my favorite Halloween costume I ever did. So it was one of these Halloween parties, and people got so into the costumes and we would have a costume contest, and you would try and keep it a secret till the very last moment. And we'd found out that my brother and a couple of his friends, you remember the movie Slapshot?
Yeah.
They were going as the Hanson brothers. Nice. So we overheard them talking about it. So then me and my two friends were like, oh, we should go as the Hanson brothers too. But we went as the group Hanson. Like
that's hilarious.
So we had like dueling Hanson brothers. But we went, this was in the days like when they still had flea markets. We went to the flea market and we bought every piece of Hanson memorabilia that we can find in the music shop. So we bought posters and pins and CDs. We played Hanson as like grown up and bitter and drunk.
Yeah, the way Hanson should be portrayed.
Well, there's a funny postscript to this story. But so I was Zach Hanson. We went out, we had shirts with the Hanson. So I still have a shirt that fits with Zach Hansen's face on it.
You're just bragging that you lost weight.
And we went, we did the party. We won a dance contest performing Mbop. We were I signed a pair of tits as Zach Hansen. And like we had the wigs, we did the whole thing. And then fast forward 20-something years, and my old podcast, which was a music podcast, I Love Rock and Roll, and I'm interviewing, it's like a long story how it even came to be, but I'm interviewing Rick Allen from Def Leppard, and he brings with him as a guest Zach Hansen. And I'm like, when am I ever going to get a chance to tell Zach Hansen that I signed a pair of titties dressed up as him? And like
and
the
him
lengths
not even one of the other brothers.
Yeah, no. It was like I was him. I almost wore the shirt, but I was like, that I don't want to creep him out.
Creepy,
yeah. So I didn't bring it, but I waited till the very end of the interview when there was like 5 minutes left. I dropped that story on him, and it was such a funny full circle moment.
It's great.
The dress ups were so fun. I would still enjoy it, like I do with my kid. It's still kind of fun. But you know what? I think the problem is, like, I remember I went to this one party. I went to this party with this production company in California, and they threw like this big, at the end of the production we did, happened to be their like big Halloween bash that they threw at their like office in Pasadena. It was incredible. This was like a rager with like DJs, performers. They did like a whole carnival theme. They had like, like guys on stilts and flame, like breathing fire and shit. They did a whole fucking thing. I was like, oh, okay. And I was not prepared to go to a Halloween party when I was going to go back home. They're like, stay an extra day and come to the Halloween party. And I'm like, I don't have a day. And they go, this is one of the more embarrassing stories I think I've never actually told the story. They were like, just put a costume together. Just take the day and because we were done anyway. And I don't know why in my mind, I think something came up that made me think I'm going to be Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs, right? That's funny. Wear like a silk robe, like specifically the Art Fuckby part,
Yeah.
like that, that famous part where he's dancing in front of the thing. But like, I'm not a tall, lanky white guy. Yeah. I'm a short, fat Italian guy. And so I started putting this thing together, and I couldn't find the right stuff. So like instead of a silk robe, I had like a fluffy pink like mom robe, right? Like I went into a legit because I couldn't find like good Halloween store like walking distance, and I'm like in this area in LA, and I'm like taking Ubers everywhere, and I got tired, so I was like, I'm just gonna find things around, I'm gonna put it together, and it was horrible. I went into like a woman's like shapewear store to get like stockings. Like I got legit expensive stockings, and I got like slippers, and then I was like, oh, I need a basket. I need a lotion in the basket. So I went to like a CVS and got like a stupid. This whole thing was put together so poor. You would have never thought that
Did you have like a name tag, like "Hello, my name is Buffalo Bill"? So people.
No, it was like everyone just thought I was just trans. Like everyone just thought I was like it didn't.
Did you go full tuck?
I didn't look like it. Well, I had the robot. I didn't have to do the full tuck. But
I see you're being progressive for Halloween. Like, no, I'm a fucking serial killer.
No, it's supposed to be. Yeah, it's supposed to be horrifying. And they're like, no, this is horrifying. This is.
Yeah, you nailed it.
This is fucking. Yeah, you're trying to scare all of us. You got it because your chest hair is poking out your robe, and and then it's hot, and they had I remember specifically they had a cigar person rolling cigars there, and I love cigars, so I'm like, I'm gonna get a cigar. So someone took a picture of me, and by the end of the night, I had a wig. The wig came off. I had the pink robe on, and I'm smoking a cigar, and I just look like a flamboyant Tony Soprano. Like I didn't, I didn't look like anything. I just looked like, like a bear, like a fat gay Italian guy.
That's great.
It hits that party phase, and then you go. I think this was St. Patrick's Day too. You're like, all right, I need to stop doing this, right? Like when you party a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, you hit that point in your life anyway, but like with Halloween, I'm like, I think it's like after a certain, I'm like, do I want to put fucking makeup on my face right now? You start feeling silly.
Yeah.
After a while, you're like, I'm not, until you have a kid, and then
but there's certain rules, right? Like you wear anything with makeup. I learned this from the Halloween parties. Like, well, if I'm gonna be taking X all night, probably I'm gonna be sweaty, so I'm not putting it on any makeup.
Yeah.
No masks.
Right. Yeah, then
so you had to like work within those confines.
Well, then when I met my wife when we were dating, when we go to Halloween parties, I would do I would try to do like comfortable costumes. Like when we went as like the concept of Netflix and chill. So I just like wore a Netflix shirt and sweatpants, and I had like stuffed my sweatpants with like a sock to look like I had a boner the whole time. But it was like I was in sweatpants the whole time. Like, this is great. I'm just drinking at a really nice party in sweatpants.
Yeah.
When
I was a kid, I remember going to Springsteen's house, and they gave full-size candy bars. I was like, when I get a house, that's what I'm doing. So that's what I did for a year. But I lived on a dead end.
You lived in his neighborhood?
No, everybody went there.
Oh, you traveled there?
Yeah. I mean, not far,
right,
but yeah. And so I did when I was married. We gave out full-size candy bars, but we lived on a dead end. Like, nobody gave us enough. Just sell the shit in the store.
Right.
But and now where I live, then if I get 2, that's a lot.
Yeah, there's no
nobody goes out anymore.
And I live kind of in the middle of nowhere in Westchester, but like there is no. We maybe had 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Trick or treaters.
Yeah. Now I give apples.
Yeah.
With razor blades.
With razor blades. Full circle.
Yeah.
You became a serial killer.
Now they do like the trunk or treats. Do you take your kid to that?
I did last year.
I'm not a fan of the trunk or treat.
I'm not a fan either, but it's also like I have a 3-year-old who's like, where's my fucking candy? You know what I mean? Like she's like, wait, you told me there's this concept of Halloween where we get dressed up, we go door to door, and everyone gives us candy. And in my neighborhood, I mean, it's a lot of elderly people in my neighborhood. Like,
nobody's.
We had this one guy we could see because his like front door was like open, and we rang the bell, and then we felt bad leaving, even though we went like he was like 98. He took like 4 hours to walk from his fucking back room to the front door to tell us that he ran out of candy, or that he's like, I only had even when he taught, I was like, you're dying right now.
Yeah.
And we waited for him to walk because then we couldn't walk away.
Right.
I was like, oh, this fucking guy.
Yeah.
Here's
some hard candies from my wife's purse.
Right. Yes, or like what
she passed away 3 years ago.
Got some peppermint patties.
Those strawberries.
The white and red swirl.
Those were fucking good, man.
They were, but like not for Halloween.
No, not for Halloween.
No.
But
you want chocolate and bars.
Those have to be in a glass dish somewhere.
Yeah.
I
mean, well, some people go some people are so good at it, and they'll remember going to a house and you get like the full fucking candy bar. You get like a full, not the small trick or treat ones, like a whole fucking deal. Snickers or a whole Hershey bar, and you were like, you looked at those people like they were gods. You were like, thank you. Thank you so much.
When we were kids, we used to, first off, I don't ever remember like my mom taking us. Like I don't ever remember being supervised on Halloween. It was just packs of kids roaming the neighborhood, and we would we'd make a mental note of who gave out the good shit, and then at some point you would double back home, empty out your pillowcase, change costumes
Yep.
because you thought that it mattered. You thought these people were really paying attention. And then we
go
would
back to
go
the same
back
house.
and hit
Yep.
like, all right, they're giving out full-size Snickers. Let me come home. Now I'm not a stormtrooper. I'm a pirate. And let me go get the same shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, my second costume was always my soccer uniform. First one
You're
was
so lazy.
so first one would be the mask, whatever, the cheap mask that one side would always break.
Yeah,
And then you'd have to
string.
tape.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep.
That little thin string. That type of string, I don't think is used in anything else.
No,
It's like a
maybe the ball,
rubber-ish. It's not rope. It's not thread. It's
Yeah.
like a rubbery elastic.
it's the
type
ball
of thing.
paddle thing.
Oh
When
yes,
that
you're
breaks,
right.
they
right.
put it on a
That
mask.
is exactly what it is.
And then it
Yeah,
breaks
yeah,
the
yeah,
mask.
yeah. Yeah, I remember then hitting an age where we were of like we still want to trick or treat. We're still like young enough to want to trick or treat, but we were starting to become assholes, and so we have like the mischief night the night before. But I remember like 1 or 2 years combining them in a way. Like if we didn't get good candy, we would egg the house.
Yeah.
Like we would combine. Like we had someone had a basket that looked like a trick or treat basket that was covered and had eggs in it. And if we didn't like what we got, what pieces of shit?
Yeah,
You
That
gave
is-
us
yeah.
a shitty candy, or you gave us an apple.
Yeah.
They got a clean fucking egg off your window.
This jerk off doesn't know I don't like milk duds. Like, he fucking tried, man. He doesn't know.
Right. Yeah. Or milk duds, though the malt ones. No, what
Whoppers?
am I thinking? Whoppers. I'm
Whoppers.
thinking of.
That is top 5 worst candy of
It's
all time.
horrible.
Yeah.
There's people who like those.
candy
I like-
corn, and Whoppers.
Black licorice, to me, that's the Michael Jordan of shitty candy.
yeah. Mike and Ike's. Mike
The
and
fruity ones were good.
yeah, but like the licorice one, like the
Yeah,
standard Mike and Ike.
Yeah, my son, they were brilliant. So he had a friend, and it was all about quantity, not so much quality. They wanted the most that they could fit in this.
Yeah. It's a little bragging rights.
But one of his friends was lactose intolerant, so he couldn't eat the milk chocolate. And Christopher loved chocolate. So they would play after, they had to come in, they'd play left, right, center with all the candy that they didn't want, so it didn't matter if you lost it in the pot.
Right. Yeah, there is that moment where you're like, let's just get the most fucking candy.
Yeah.
And you ate it the whole, like
Sure.
that night. You ate all the fucking candy.
We were such dicks. There was a kid in my neighborhood whose mom was super strict, and I can't remember if it was like religious, but he wasn't allowed to go trick-or-treating. So at some point every Halloween, we would all end up in front of his house outside his window, like calling his name and gobbling up candy.
Just bragging to him.
He was a nice kid. I don't even know why. We liked him. He was a friend.
Was he Jehovah's Witness?
I don't remember. I don't remember what the reasoning
Just had
was.
strict parents.
He just wasn't. He was not allowed to do trick or treating.
Were his parents immigrants?
I don't
Really?
even
Yeah,
remember
it's a
his
Jehovah's
parents.
Witness thing. Which you would think, because that's kind of their thing. It's
Door to
not-
door.
You would think, all right, we've been training.
Hey, yeah, right. Like, what you just be like? You can go trick or treating, but you've got to spread the word,
Exactly.
and you can dress like us because people think we're a costume.
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
just
yeah.
dress like mom and dad, and
This is the one time we'll answer the door and we're not going to slam it in your face. This is the one day.
Right.
Go and get out there.
are you guys big horror movie fans?
Yes, very big.
Not so much.
I like a good thriller. I don't like a gory movie,
Right.
but if the story is good, I'm in.
see, but like
This is my favorite time of year. Like that, there's horror movies on every night.
every platform
I get-
now has
Oh,
got
I
like the Halloween. There are a bunch of Halloween movie
Yep.
verticals.
love it.
Yeah, and I'm like, I can't wait I want to be able to. I have to wait for my kid to go to sleep. She's watching like kid Halloween things, you know?
Yeah.
And I got, but that was like part of the excitement was like leading up to Halloween. Back then I was like going to Blockbuster and getting a bunch of Halloween movies.
Sure.
Like going to like a video rental place and getting a bunch of Halloween movies. But I remember like my brother showing me like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, all the like classic, big classic ones. Child's Play, all those. And like at an age, this is how I experienced most things with like my older cousins and my brothers. We were all very close and they were all much older than me. Was like exposing me to things at an age where it was going to like horrify me.
Yeah.
Like I was 6 and watching these things. It's funny because you watch some of them back now and they're such great films, but like special effects and gore wise, not great.
No,
No.
some of them
comparatively,
We've come a long way. For
Some
sure.
of them have held up. Some of those like practical special effects have actually held up, I think. Like I have a few go-tos that I watch every year at Halloween.
What holds up in terms of gore?
American Werewolf in London.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
That
sure.
was really good.
Which that was like a big, like my dad loved that movie. And so he had me watching that. I was probably my daughter's age the first time I saw that. And it seemed like it was scary, but it was also funny. But it also had that hot British nurse's titties. I was like,
Yes.
this movie.
That's the
this
one
movie
good thing
has
about horror
everything.
movies. There is a very good chance you'll see titties.
In the 80s.
Right.
Yeah, in the 80s.
Right. So when you're like a little boy, even if like the movie's horrifying you, you're like, this is worth it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna stick it around.
I can wrap my head around it.
The Fly has held up.
Okay.
I think
I haven't seen that in a very long.
I watch that every year. I think that's one of the best horror one
I
of the
gotta
best
rewatch
horror
that 'cause
films
to
ever
me,
made.
in my mind, that doesn't hold up. But that's probably because maybe I've dated it in my head. I haven't seen that in a very long time.
And The Thing.
Oh, that thing's great.
And The Thing to me still
Thing's
holds
great.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, that will. Yeah, that's just one of the best.
Nothing will be scarier than the old guy in Poltergeist 2.
Oh yeah.
Like he was.
But so much of Poltergeist is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know.
I have a neighbor. There's a dude in my neighborhood that looks like him, and he's so old. And every time I see him, I'm like, we were at the pool right before like the community pool closed in our neighborhood, and he was just out like napping, and my wife and I were so convinced he was dead. We were like, he didn't move for like, and then we were just trying to figure out like, what do we do? Do we alert someone? And then she was just like, no, this is none of our business. Like it was so cold hearted. She was like, we just leave and we don't tell anybody that we suspected he was. She asked me, she was like, do you really think there's a chance he's dead? I'm like, every time I see him, I think he's dead.
right.
I saw him getting out of the car this morning and I thought he was dead. But he looks like the old dude from Poltergeist too. Yeah, that's
freaky.
I think some of those movies, you know, the nostalgia makes them great for us. But I wonder, and I think the movies were much better narratively than they like the horror movies specifically.
There was usually a story, and in there somewhere, and it wasn't lazy.
No, it wasn't lazy. I mean, if you think about the first Friday the 13th, where it was the mom killing everyone. I mean, that's a deeply emotional story. That's a that is such a fucked up story that her kid died because they neglected to watch him and he drowned.
Yeah, and then at the end, boom!
Right,
jumps out of the water.
Yeah, right. Yeah, great.
Yeah,
great ending. But like, if that whole plot. You're like, that is not. Horror movies tend to be fucked up, and they tend to have some like gory things and some of the most vile language you'll hear is in a horror movie because they kind of have license in doing that. It's kind of like comedy cartoons, like Family Guy can say anything they want, but like most comedies can't say that. Yeah. Horror movies get that license and could still be a mainstream movie and say the most vile. Like Freddy Krueger could say the most vile shit in the world, and that's fine, right?
Yeah,
But that movie is so. When you think about the core of that, it's sad.
Yeah,
Friday the 13th's a fucking sad story.
Yeah,
like you know when you think about like that she lost her fucking mind because they didn't watch her kid. Right?
Yeah, because they were teenage counselors. Why would they be watching her?
Yeah,
kid?
you're lucky they didn't molest your kid.
Yeah,
yeah.
Oh man, I went to sleepaway camp and.
Is this going to be a molesting?
No. Well, yes, but not me. I wasn't molested.
I like that you were like, is this like, don't tell the story if it's going to be a molesting story. And I'm like, come on.
There was my first year there was a kid in the next bunk who caught something from one of the counselors. And I don't remember exactly what it was. Like,
wait, caught something?
Yeah, like he got touched or he recorded him.
That's a weird way to word that.
Yeah,
he caught something.
He
caught a finger in the bum. You know how it is.
He caught like a
badge for that?
I don't think he caught a dick. I think he
caught a finger.
I mean, listen, I was probably like 8 or 9, so I'm
going
going back.
I thought you were going to say like caught like a like an STD?
He caught something from one of the counselors. I don't remember if
That is really weird.
I've never heard somebody refer to sexual assault as something you catch.
He caught
like a
molestation.
virus.
Yeah,
He caught the diddle.
exactly.
He's got the diddles.
Did you get any diddle while you're
And you
there?
know what? Those diddles are going to stay with him for quite some time. He's not going to shake off that virus.
They had to, naturally they fired the counselor, but they had
Why?
to. They had to let all the other parents know. So they had to call my parents and tell them, like, listen, your son's safe. Kid in the next bunk, caught something not so good for him.
He's safe. He saw the whole thing, but he's safe.
And do you know, like, I was still back there the next summer. Like, it wasn't enough for my parents to be.
Yeah.
It wasn't enough for my parents to be
He's
like.
safe. We've heard him sing.
Yeah, they were. They were like,
His voice is a natural repellent.
That's
It
how much.
It should work on pedophiles too.
That's how much Jewish parents don't want their kids around during the summer. They were like, well, he might catch one this summer, but it's just a numbers game. And
Good luck.
You might catch one.
I think I heard.
You're talking about like it's like the Coxsackie virus.
Yeah.
Well, it sort of is.
Hand, foot, mouth, ass.
I have Jewish friends that tell me they like when they send their kids away to sleepaway camp, they just refer to it as go away camp. Like it's really just about getting rid of your kids for the summer.
Sleepaway camps were such a big thing when we were kids. Like I know they still are around, but like, I can't. To me, I've become too. This world's become a little too fucked up, and I've become too aware of things. I can't imagine sending my kids to a sleepaway camp.
We know everything now, and we've seen all the documentary.
Yeah.
When we were kids, it was like you were saying before. No one ever took me trick or treating. We went as a pack of kids.
Yeah.
We talked about this
adults.
once. So like where people know when their kids get home because they'll see the Ring camera alert.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. We wouldn't have gone away with any of that shit as kids if there were Ring doorbells everywhere.
Yeah.
We would have all been either arrested or in major trouble.
Sure.
Like, the footage would have been there.
Yeah.
They would have seen you in your costume and been like, that ugly trans lady threw an egg at our house for some reason. And the wife was like, I think that's Buffalo Bill.
She's defending me. He's trying to be Buffalo Bill. It looks more like Bill the Buffalo, but he's trying to be Buffalo Bill.
And it just looks like Bill from Buffalo, New York.
Just a Bill. A Bill who thought he could drive that much out of Buffalo to have a secret life. or when I was fucking the Michael Jackson one, that was one I remember even back then at a time where I think where things were much less sensitive and stuff. People were like, "You're fucking disgusting." Like I was Michael Jackson. I was full on. I had the white glove, the hat, and then I had the doll. I had the doll attached there.
Patch.
And that was a drink. Like that was like we went to like a rager. We went to like an all day fucking party.
Yeah.
And I almost forgot at some point that I
You almost forgot you had a baby doll attached to your dick?
Yeah. Like I remember like hitting on someone and it's just like no.
Oh, that's so funny. I just remembered.
Were you trying to have a threesome?
I remember. So one Halloween, I'm at a concert. I'm at Jane's Addiction, the Hammerstein Ballroom.
Yeah.
They're playing with Flea as their bass player at the time, and I could not be more excited. It's the first time I'm seeing them. One of my all-time favorite bands. And I went. It's Halloween, so everybody goes in costume. And I went as a cow. I got a cow costume with the udders and everything.
Yeah.
And there was a cute girl. I can't even remember what she was dressed at. I just remember she was a slutty something, but she loved my costume. And she kept coming over and being like, "Hey, cow," and she would squeeze my udder.
Seeing your little teats.
Yeah, she would squeeze my little teats. And I remember like after the third or fourth time, I was like, I think this chick likes me, like, and then I started, maybe it was like the mushrooms or whatever, but I was too in my head. I was like, I look ridiculous in this cow costume.
There's no way she's
like, I have to. And then I was like, fuck it. And I like took the costume off and then I like went over to her and I was like, hey, it's me. And she was like, what? I was like, it's me. It's the cow. And she was just like,
This is so cool.
yeah, she was like, oh, yeah. I thought it was such a good idea. I was like, oh my God, this girl is really, she's so into me.
Who the fuck are you?
She just turned and walked away, and I was like, oh. And then I was like, wait, do I put the cow costume back on? And then I was like, nope, let it go, let it go.
Yeah, then you go back as a cow. Move, now it's me.
God.
Strike out as the cow and as the human.
What?
You put the ew in Jew.
She has said that to my face.
That's great. That is, it's a hard, striking out like that. Because what happened was, what you don't realize is, how old are you?
It was early 20s.
Yes, I don't think you absorbed yet that there's a brand of drunk girl that just likes touching things. Not sexual. There is.
But I was like, it's me, the cow, and she was like, "What cow? Like, what the fuck are you? Get away from me!"
That would have been my wife. Like that's the kind of drunk my wife you always used to be, where she would just be like, if you were like we're at a thing and you had like a funny hat on, she'd just be touching your hat the whole time, not hitting on you. She'd just be like, "This is a great hat."
Oh no, I was like,
she'd just be petting your velvet hat or something, and you'd be like, "Whoa, I think this chick totally wants." And you're like, "Nope, she literally just likes the sensation of the velvet hat." That's what was happening. She was like, "Hey,"
I was like, "I'm leaving here with a girlfriend. Like, this is fucking seeing my favorite band."
Girlfriend.
One day our grandkids are gonna be like, "How'd you meet?"
This is gonna be such a funny story.
I would have cut a hole and just made my own little udder there.
Yeah.
So next time she comes over.
I love that you were romanticizing it.
Oh, I know. I was like, this is the greatest night ever. Seeing my favorite band with Flea on bass.
Right.
And I got a new girl.
Hey, it's me. Who?
Yeah.
What the fuck are you?
She was just like, what fucking cow? Like, what
Did your cow
you?
Costume have like a hood type of thing? So she didn't even recognize like your hair or...
No. I don't even know that she ever made eye contact with me.
One of the greatest things I've ever heard. Hey, it's me. Remember? The nips?
Something better to say than it's me.
Well,
he thought it was that easy. He thought he had it in the bag.
I thought I was like, I was so overconfident.
You could have said you are utterly amazing.
Yeah, I could have. That's probably...
You would have been married to her right now.
Probably.
She probably would have still been like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
There's like drunk girl conversation, right? It's like one of the worst conversations you could have is like talking to a drunk 20-something-year-old woman. Right? Like, I mean, drunk dude too. Also, drunk dude's not fun to talk to, but that's usually aggressive, Like drunk dude's aggressive. Drunk girl is like, especially that like Halloween party girl. That's a whole person type.
Yeah.
They're like, they don't know what they're saying. They're making plans with you. They said Friday, 8:00, this restaurant. Like they're not remembering any of that shit. And that's the thing is like at that age when you're in your 20s and everyone like although, I'm so fucking old and out of touch. I don't know. Does it still happen? Do people still do the slutty Halloweens? Is that a thing anymore? I think the costumes still exist, obviously. Yeah. But like, is that like a thing? Because that was like a real, like I said, like it wasn't, 70s and 80s. That wasn't really a thing. Maybe you could get sexy with your costume, like if you were creative. But it wasn't like, I'm slutty cop.
Yeah.
That was like 90s that came about.
Yeah. Late 90s. And that was perfect for me because that was, drinking. Yeah. Legal drinking age, so everyone was slutty.
I guess everything went that way, though. Even the horror movies. Like, horror movies always had this sort of, like, tantalizing sort of, like, almost sexuality to them.
Yeah,
but, like, in the 90s, it became
sure.
sexual. They started casting, like, really hot movie stars. Like it was no longer, like, Jamie Lee Curtis, who was just, like, a good actor. They started, like, casting, like, supermodels.
Yeah.
Like supermodel actresses, like Jennifer Love Hewitt. What was that? What I Know What You Did Last Summer?
Yeah.
Right. Like they started doing those type of things, and it just became like a teenage boy like hot. Oh, we have to go see this hot girl in this movie.
Yeah.
Because I heard she like runs through the woods and it's like wet. or some shit. Like, you just get so dumb. Also, remember, that's a time where, if you're a 15-year-old boy, let's say, you also didn't have all this access to porn.
Yeah.
No.
Right? So,
right.
So you also, horror movies became this, really, you didn't say it with your friends, or you didn't tell anyone this, I feel like. You didn't really say, you didn't go oh, let's all go do that. You didn't want to sound stupid, right? You would oh, I want to see this horror movie. I can't wait to see all the gore and the shit. But you're in the movie, then you're like, oh my God.
Did it just get so easy? What's that website where it tells you how far into the movie you get to see tits?
Yeah.
Now that it's digital, you can't do that with a
Mr. Skin.
Mr. Skin.
That's right.
Got too easy.
Oh my God! Remember Mr. I forgot about Mr. Skin.
And most of that was horror movie stuff.
Right. It's either, and sometimes you wouldn't even see it. It was just kind of half, either they were in a hot tub. It was a kill scene in a hot tub. And you got to see her flapping around looking kind of hot for a minute before it got weird,
Before Mr. Skin, I remember in this Pocono house, somebody had bought a book. We had a book on the bookshelf. This was pre-social media, websites, internet, and it was just an encyclopedia of actresses and where you could find their nude scenes.
Oh,
was it analog Mr. Skin?
Yeah, it was you'd go to see and look at Jamie Lee Curtis, and it would be Trading Places, the 41-minute mark or whatever, and then you'd have to go to the video store and.
It is 41 minutes in. That's amazing that you knew that.
You were able to confirm it.
Somebody wrote a book, but somebody had to hey, is this a good idea to a publishing house? And they were it got greenlit all along the way.
Yeah. That's a whole book.
Yeah.
Think about all the ideas that struggling authors oh, is this gonna be a book people are gonna want to read? So I was I got it. You guys are overthinking it.
Yeah.
You're overthinking it. Timestamps, movie, Bush. Yeah. Just write that. Just say, her Bush at this time. Her tits at this time.
Spooey decimal system.
Mr. Skin. That was a time when those horror movies were those sort of sexier horror movies, and again, it wasn't there was porn everywhere. You had to really find your porn.
Yeah.
Even as the internet started, was when Mr. Skin came out, obviously the internet was there.
Sure.
But it still wasn't porn wasn't what it it still was hard to find.
Yeah.
You had to really know where to go for all of it.
Our porn was magazines in the woods.
Yeah.
That somebody's big brother tried to hide at some point.
Sometimes it wasn't even porn magazines. It was Sports Illustrated. You know what I mean? It wasn't even
National Geographic.
Oh, yeah.
National Geographic. Oh, I see. There's a tit. Yep.
They'd have some titties.
Yeah.
I mean, a titty's when you're that age, you'll look at any titty you can.
Yeah.
Honestly, it hasn't even really changed that much.
No.
I'm still
going to look.
I had a woman I was telling you the other night, I had a show Friday night, and I was dealing with a really drunk heckler. And at one point I said to her, she was so loud, I said, do you even own a phone, or when you want to talk to somebody, do you just open your window and shout? Yeah. And whatever city they're in, they hear you.
Yeah.
And she said, if I want someone's attention, I just show them my boobs. And then she was like, do you want to see my boobs? And
she said that during your...
Yeah. And I was like, honestly, yes. but
I'm not even
but my
wife's
wife's sitting in the back, and she's gonna stab both of us. So, on the record, no. But
right. But
and they weren't titties you'd want to look at. She was an older lady, and she had big, giant, looked like someone hit her with 2 footballs and just pinned there in the chest.
Right.
But there's still a 12-year-old boy in me that's if you want to show me your titties, yeah, of course.
Isn't it funny how quickly you went from being mad at her? I mean, it's fine if that's what you want to. If that's where tonight goes, it's fine.
Change the world. I've always said that. Were you dressed like a cow by any chance?
Oh man. Well, Chris, do you have anything to plug? This is going to air the day before Halloween. If you want to plug any dates or anything, go for it.
Oh, all the way then. You can find out at ChrisCovertComedy.com or JerseyJokers.com.
Very cool, man.
Follow me at What am I? Hashtag get coverted. Because I'm Chris Covert, and that's
Your thing.
the angle that they went with. I don't know.
I like you said that they went with. Like he's got some team of people
my
behind
team.
him.
I have a team.
That's your thing. That's what the whole team decided.
That's his girlfriend being like, "What about converted?"
Yeah.
And the way you plug that, you sound like you still haven't decided if you want it.
No, I like it.
Yeah.
But it's so close to get covered, which is like the insurance thing that I see everywhere. So it looks the same on the hand. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Chris Covert comedy.
This is why this is going to go down as one of the best plugs on the show. Dude, really, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
This
has been a blast.
It's a Bit Too Much podcast on all the socials. Check us out. Like, subscribe, comment, topics. Just don't watch and not do any of the things. Right? People watch.
It takes a second to like it.
Right? They to watch and they listen. I see the views, but then I don't. Just say, hey, talk about. I want to hear more stories of Ken getting shut down.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Or singing.
I want to hear more. It's me. Who?
You know what's so funny is that this was 20 years. This had to have been like 1999.
You don't shake that off, though, right? It still hurts. It still hurts.
Yeah. No, I'm over.
It's like a bad
Get
bomb.
to the car and cry.
It's
a
like
little
a
bit.
bomb. Like you still remember them. You forget about it. But then, like 15 years later, you're like, "Oh God damn, that was a bad one."
You're like Uncle Rico. Coach would have just put me in.
No, but my
all state.
My wife's gonna hear this, and I'm gonna get in trouble for.
Oh yeah,
hitting on some lady while we weren't even dating.
She's grabbing your udder, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a little forward.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
you've
gonna
got
hear
a
all about this
with your wife because you've known each other so long.
Yeah.
Even though there was time between, you've got a wide window of I knew you.
Yeah.
Right? It's pretty much anything after.
Oh, I hear that all the time. I'm like, you were married with kids at the time. She's like, doesn't matter. You still knew I was alive and out there.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife, I could tell me anything about like an ex or something, and it doesn't. But if I tell her a story of like, I literally could have like actually related to what we were talking about. I could have been like, I used to watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer because I thought Sarah Michelle Gellar was hot. Like I would say something like that. Like I watched like a whole 2 seasons of that because I thought she was hot.
Yeah.
It was a horrible show. So she's like, I don't want to hear about that. I'm like, what's a fucking TV show? Well, anyway. Thanks. It's a Bit Too Much podcast everywhere, and thanks so much for coming on.